where do you start with that game? For the second time in a row, I'm sat here after a Champions League game, lost for words. Sort of a different reason, really. That Ajax game was wonderful to witness and to watch. And maybe not being in the stadium, of course, changes your complexion and viewing experience of the game, not sort of being in the atmosphere. I come away from that game, yes, the result itself is a pretty good one in truth. Going away in Europe is never easy, especially with what Chelsea are up against tonight, a vibrant, hungry Valencia side that knew they had to probably win this game. And Chelsea now go into the game against Lille with fate in our own hands, basically. We win against Lille, we're through to the next round, and Ajax and Valencia are basically battling out. That's a good thing. Frank said in his pre-match press conference, it was important that we didn't lose. And we didn't lose, but we should have lost. The result, Chelsea were very lucky tonight. There's been times this season where I've sat here and said we were unlucky. Tonight, Chelsea got a lot of luck, and that was mainly down to the poor finishing of Valencia. And I come away from that game, especially the last few minutes of that game, frustrated and just annoyed and baffled at the naivety we showed in those final minutes, just how open we were away from home, where the result is sort of in our favour at that point, and allowing them to have open goals basically to put it in. That should never be happening for any team. And unless it's a situation where we're having to go for a goal, I can accept it. But we didn't have to go for a winner in that game. And it felt like at periods at the end there, Chelsea was stuck in between going for the game, sitting deep, and countering. It seemed like Chelsea were unsure of what they wanted to do in that game. And we got so lucky across tonight, really, with some poor finishing. But I guess that's a positive. We have come away with it with a point that puts us up nicely, sets us up nicely for that final game against Lille. I thought it was interesting, team selection, Dave and James playing at fullbacks. I thought that was an interesting thing to happen. I predicted it. Did surprise me seeing Christensen come back into the side. He hasn't played and started since September. So it was a great opportunity for him to put himself in front of Lampard and say, I can be one of your back two. And the rest of the team was the same, wasn't it? Which was, I think, another interesting thing for Lampard to do. And James and Kovacic looked like our best outlets going forward for me. But we should have been behind. We should have probably been 2-0 behind with basically the same move happening. Too much space down the left. I don't think Dave had the best night tonight, really, especially at left back. And we got done, and a ball across the box, and I think it was Gomez twice missing basically open goals. The second one I think was saved by Kepa, but he should have scored both of those. And we were lucky the fact that it was 0-0 for as long as it was. Silerson made a brilliant save from Tammy Abraham after a nice worked move from us. But then they go down the other end and they do score. Just another case of miscommunication. Dave and Zuma being out of position and a lack of challenges in the middle. I think Kepa should do better. When you actually look at the finish itself, I think it hits him about 3 times before it actually gets towards goal. But I still think Kepa, the fact that he got a hand to it, probably thought that he should have done better with it, in my opinion. So we go 1-0 down, and that's really the crowd, of course, at the Mestalla is so hostile and lively, and it's a cauldron there, and that's what it became. And it was slightly worrying that Chelsea were going to be maybe overawed there, and Valencia, who were going into the game, were going to grow even more into it. But what a time for Mateo Kovacic to score his first Chelsea goal. He has been saving up for a big moment, and tonight was a big moment. Maybe in the context of a game, so much happened since that goal, so it wasn't as much as like a last gasp winner, but it was a big moment for Chelsea because it stemmed the tide. It got us back in the game. It got us back in on the front foot. But it's a big goal, and it was brilliant to see the chemistry and also the happiness of all the players. They went over and celebrated with him. It was not only a big goal for the team, but a big goal personally for Kovacic, who I thought once again had a pretty good night. He's been one of Chelsea's standout players this year, and it's great to see his work sort of have a landmark there in terms of a goal to go with all his brilliant work this season. So great moment for him. You go into the break with Tammy Abraham being injured. I'm really worried because Tammy, even up to that point, he'd had a shot saved, which was a brilliant save in itself. And as well, I think his hold-up play is just so good. I think all of the all-round play he has, that's the thing I think we lacked in that second half in terms of just the ball sticking up top. Once Batshuayi went up there, that's why Valencia, I think, had so much of the ball in that second half, was not only because of the tactics and the substitutions Frank made, but also just not having that outlet to hold up the ball, which Tammy is so good at doing. As I said after the game against City on Saturday, even when Tammy's not scoring, he's making a positive impact, and I think that proved tonight, and I really hope it's not a long-term injury, especially over the Christmas period where we're going to need goals, we're going to need him to play well. So let's hope it's not as drastic as we fear it might be, because he did get stretched off. Horrible to see a player like Tammy or any player in so much agony, which he was. Batshuayi comes on, but the start to the second half was really positive. We really went at Valencia, and Christian Pulisic getting another big goal for Chelsea. It was a great ball in, and it was a smart header down from Zuma into the path of Pulisic. Of course, VAR intervenes, and I was for certain that it was going to be ruled out. But the angle that was the official UEFA angle instead of the TV angle, which was being shown, it looked like Pulisic was onside, and after a long break, you almost grew in hope that it was going to be given, which it was. So it's 2-1. But Chelsea just never had control in this game, and there was never a period in the game where you thought Chelsea, just whatever able to get their foot on the ball, really stem the tide of Valencia. It felt like Valencia were just going to keep on coming out. Game management, I think, is the term we use a lot. And of course, we want to see this team be progressive. We want to see it be on the front foot, but there's got to be some intelligence there used, and there wasn't. And they get a penalty, which I don't think was a penalty. I think the referee was awful tonight. I really do. I think he was just so poor. I don't think he'll be given many more Champions League games. I really do, because he looks so indecisive as a ref. Anytime a Valencia player went down, he'd give a foul. Kante got booked for a brilliant challenge where he got the ball and the player takes a tumble. Just really poor refereeing, and even most of the people within the ground and the commentators had no idea whether it was a penalty or not. I think that just proves once again how indecisive the ref was, and I don't think he had a good night personally. Now looking back at the full 90, Kepa makes an absolutely amazing save there. Brilliant save. Kepa has been under a lot of criticism recently. Some of it is due, I think, as I've said tonight, with some of his saves or lack of saves. He does deserve criticism in some aspects, but he has made big saves for Chelsea, especially from the penalty spot. There's another one there that could see his team go through to the next round of the Champions League. That is a big moment from Kepa and a brilliant save. And from there, you're sort of thinking, can Chelsea hold out here? Can Chelsea make it to the end with this win? But we didn't. It's a bit of a freak goal, to be honest. The cross, I was really frustrated at Martin Keown. And no surprise, of course, on commentary, basically blaming Kepa for that. In one breath, he says, Kepa should be doing more, but then also on the other hand saying Kepa shouldn't have got to it. When you actually watch the goal, even if Kepa reaches out very high, he isn't touching that ball probably. It's a wicked cross. It's like Zappacosta's cross against Karabag a few years ago, if you remember that one. So Kepa couldn't really do a lot. It's a freak goal, but it's 2-2, and this is where I can't remember if Jorginho had come on before, because we switched to a back five, which I thought was a smart move by Lampard. He didn't have a lot of defensive players on the bench, to be honest, to bring on to really change the tide up, unless you're going to switch like one of the centre backs out. But I thought it was a good move by Lampard, bringing on Emerson, switching to a back five, and I thought, okay, now we can have a bit more control, but that just didn't happen. It seemed, for me, the key was Jorginho going off for me. I think we lost all balance in midfield once Jorginho went off, and I think the effect of Jorginho not being there, I think, was so present in those final minutes. Just no one in the middle was there to put their foot on the ball and control the tempo, which is why Jorginho is so crucial and so essential to this Chelsea side. I think that period when he was off the pitch showed why he needs to be in this team, and we all know it, but I think there was probably like a stark moment where you could say there was no one. Not only that, it's just leadership. Jorginho is such a good leader on the pitch and vocalizes instructions and plays the right ball, cools things down when it gets a little bit hectic, and always offers a passing option to one of the centre backs or to his attackers when they're in a tight space. There just wasn't any of that. And it was like a basketball game. It's end to end, and it's just not what you want to see. And Chelsea should have lost the game several times. And Valencia, I'm sure, will be kicking themselves with the fact that they've got to go to Ajax on the final day. And if they don't qualify, those misses will be so key, won't they? It's tough for me to... It's the naivety, and I think it's for me going forward. It's Lampard's maybe substitutions, decision making. How is he going to get this side to not be as naive? I think that's the test going forward. But as I will stress constantly this season, as I did on Saturday, you're going to see this from this Chelsea side this year. You're going to see these type of performances, these naive things, these chinks in the armour. That's the price, not only for playing younger players, but also just the style of football Frank Lampard wants to implement within Chelsea. It's going to take a while. But yeah, as a fan, I'm sure like the rest of you, it was a horrible watch. It really was, especially at the end there. And we get away with it. Deep breath. We move on now to West Ham, which I think is a good game for us, hopefully, to get points on the board in the Premier League, get back to winning ways, and get some confidence up. So those are my thoughts on the games, guys. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you did enjoy it, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to never miss an upload. Follow me on Twitter @SonOfChelsea, and I'll see you again.